Hello friends, welcome back. Today I'd like to show you 3 of my favorite uses for my lavender. So it's in the early bloom stage and that's when you're going to want to use it. So what I'm doing is I am removing the petals from the stem and I'm going to collect about maybe 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of lavender. And then I've chosen a jar with a lid. It does not matter what kind of jar as long as it has a lid. And I'm going to put a little bit of sugar in the bottom, and then I'm going to sprinkle in a few of those lavender petals, and then I'm going to wash a lemon to use. So the reason I'm washing it is because I'm going to zest this lemon, and I don't know who else has been touching it in the grocery store. So like I said, I'm going to zest it. And I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of lemon zest in there with that lavender. So not everybody does this, and that's okay. You can omit the lemon. I just really find it complementary with the lavender, which already has kind of a citrusy scent and taste to it. And I just really feel like they go well together. This is so good in cookies or iced tea. Even in like a whipping cream, it is so good. And you can see that I'm just layering in. I put a little sugar, a little lavender, a little citrus, and just keep layering it until it's complete. And I think I've used about 2.5, 3 cups of sugar here. And I'm going to decorate my jar just so I keep it separate from the other sugar. That way if a guest is over, they know this is not regular sugar. And I'm gonna let this sit in the jar with the lid closed for 2 to 3 weeks. And that's gonna give it plenty of time to really flavor that sugar. So I've also labeled it just in case. And yeah, that is a really nice treat. For my second DIY, I have grabbed 3 pieces of ribbon. I did not measure them. You can choose the length that you want. What I'm going to be making is basically a flower crown or a flower headband. I like to make this to dry the flowers. I think it's absolutely beautiful hanging on a wall and drying like this. But I've tied my ribbons together on one end and I've separated my flowers. And I also have a little bit of greenery as well. So the greenery I've chosen is from my Spanish lavender because it's so heavily scented that it's really going to add a nice fragrance to this. And I'm just going to layer in all of my flowers that I like a little bit at a time, and I'm actually braiding those ribbons right on top of those flowers. I'm braiding the flowers in with the ribbon. So obviously you can choose what type of flowers you'd like, how many, how wide or narrow you want your flower crown to be. This is so beautiful for weddings, baby showers, bridal showers, garden or tea parties. The list is endless for this. It's so beautiful. But yeah, I actually like to dry my flowers like this. It's kind of like a swag that's just very flexible, and that's what I like about it. With the ribbon, it makes it very flexible and you're not constricted by a wreath. So like if you wanted to put this in your hair, it's very easily put in your hair with like just bobby pins or any type of pin. It looks so beautiful in the back of the hair. But yeah, I'm making mine extra wide because I want to hang it and just dry it in my kitchen just like this. So this is actually a beautiful way to make a swag that's flexible as well. Normally you would use sticks to create a swag, and that's absolutely beautiful, but you're restricted on how you can shape it when you hang it on the wall. This gives you such flexibility, like I said, that you could shape it around a mirror or something round. And depending on the length, this would be so easy to turn into a garland, like a floral garland. It would be absolutely stunning for a wedding or something. Can you imagine this on a staircase? But yeah, it's just, the possibilities are so much broader with it being flexible and not constricted by grapevine or sticks. So I'm just going to continue to braid my flowers in there. I'm adding my lavender, of course, because that is what is scenting it. The other flowers that I'm using are Lady's Mantle and some Sweet William, and I'm using Spanish lavender greenery and some Queen Anne's lace. And yeah, once I get to the end, I'm just going to tie it off. Just make it, I just tie mine into a bow, and that way I can hang it upside down. Like I said, I like to dry it this way, but it's the possibility. Instead of the Queen Anne's lace, I would prefer to use Baby's Breath, but mine is not blooming yet. So I do love Queen Anne's lace though, but I think that your possibilities are endless with what type of flowers that you could use in this. However, if you're going to be using this as a flower crown or a headband or in a garland or something, I would definitely choose flowers that are going to hold up, maintain their shape, and not get really wilty without water, because obviously they're not exposed to water like this. But for drying, you can pretty much dry any type of flower that you like, that's gonna hold its color and its shape. And these do, I love this mix, very wild flower looking, kind of cottage style. I love that. Okay, so I'm just tying it off and tying it into a bow at the end, like I said. So if you were wanting to use this as a flower crown, you can see mine's very wide, then you want to leave some ribbon at the end to either tie it in the back, and you can see the more narrow. It's just so beautiful in the hair. But, and like I said, in the back of the hair, it just looks so stunning. But I'm going to use it to hang in my kitchen like a little dried flower bouquet, vertical bouquet. I love this. So for my third lavender DIY, I'm going to create a sachet stick. So this is something that I like to use not only in like drawers, you can use it, but for putting in a suitcase or in cupboards. And you're not going to have to worry about lavender little bits getting all over the place because it's kind of messy. So this is in the same fashion that you would make a lavender wand. So if you want to make a wand, this is exactly how you're going to do it. So there's like a little tiny row of flowers at the bottom that's separate from the longer piece of flowers at the top. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm going to line those up. So if I was going to create a wand, I would remove that bottom couple little flowers at the bottom, and I would line up the top. And I'm going to, because I'm making a sachet stick, I'm going to use that bottom row as a guide, and I'm going to tie a piece of ribbon right underneath it. And I'm just going to cut that little extra piece off from the one side. I don't need that. So I'm going to flip my flowers over and pull the stems down over the top of the petals and kind of create a cage around them. So if you were going to create a lavender wand, you would want longer stems, cut longer stems when you're cutting your lavender, and this is the exact same method that you would do. So starting at the top, I'm going to weave my ribbon under and over, around, through the stems like a basket weave. And I'm just gonna keep going under and over. And the second row, when you get to the second row, it's a little tricky when you first get started, but once you get going a little ways, it gets a little bit easier. You can see what you're doing a little better. But when you get to the second row, when you're going under and over the stems, you're going to go the opposite, kind of like a lattice on a cherry pie. You go the second row is the opposite. So if you had went under the stem right above it, then you're going to go over it on the second row down, and then vice versa on the third row. So just like a basket weave, just under and over all the way down until all of the flower petals are covered with the ribbon. Okay, so once you get to the bottom, you're just going to tie off that ribbon and cut those stems. So you can see if this was a lavender wand, the part with the ribbon would be a little bit shorter because you wouldn't have used that whole row of flowers. If that makes sense, if you remember how I was explaining that, and you would leave all the stems. So when I just would tie a bow at the bottom where the ribbon is and leave the stems. But for this, I'm going to cut the stems off. I'm going to create a little bit of a bow at the top just so I can hang this if I choose. And then I'm going to use diamond wrap on this. The reason I'm going to use diamond wrap is because it has holes in it, so the scent can still be released, but it's going to contain any little bits of flower petals or greenery that might escape. If you've ever had a lavender wand inside of a drawer, you know what I'm talking about. Those little petals and stuff kind of get all over the place, and it gets a little bit messy after a while. So this is going to contain all that, but still lets the scent out. So I'm just going to tuck it in. I haven't glued this, you can, but because of that little loop at the top, I can hang it. I can hang it in my closet or in a shower or in a cupboard. And I can put it in a drawer or a suitcase or anywhere I want, and it's gonna scent and smell amazing. So anyway, I hope you guys liked these DIYs, and I hope they gave you a couple of ideas for what to do with your lavender. So yeah, I would say if you're gonna do the lavender sugar, don't use lavender from the grocery store. It has pesticides and stuff sprayed on it. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.